What's going on? Welcome back to this drop overview for my track Bohpit. We're going to be going over the second drop today. Let's hop into it.
Let's pop it.
So as always, I'm going to go top to bottom soloing out the elements here, and then we're going to hop into the synth section in particular here and show you all these crazy sounds. So first up, we've got the drums. Once again, this song is all about the rhythm, all about the flow, just riding the beat. So ride. That ride just gets you going. And then the really, really cool part of this is the low end, right? Because I have this, go ahead and listen to it first. With the drums. It's all about the rhythm, right? But the cool thing is, it's a little bit of an unorthodox method because I'm using a hard style kick as the low end. And I'm making it move. Listen very closely. This is the low end here. It's a hard style kick. Go ahead and play that like a regular person. It's a hard style kick that's not playing at a quarter note speed. It's playing as a sustain. I'm using it. So the tail of the kick is actually being sustained here. And it's got kickstart 2, which is why it sounds like it's like LFO on it. It's got an 8th note LFO on it. So without the kickstart 2, here's kickstart 2. So without the kickstart 2, it sounds like this. Just a normal decay, right? Now with it though, and it's going to sustain for as long as I hold the note down. So that's really, really cool, right? And on the chain here, what's making this sound crazy, aside from how it is created in Serum, which we'll get into, it's got the sidechain compression, which we went over how that's done in the first part of this video. It's pretty much the same. Then we've got Kickstart 2, which is responsible for the LFO characteristics of this. And then I've got Cymatics Diablo. So without Diablo, with Diablo, we've got volume, we've got girth, we've got definition, we've got depth. Cymatics Diablo, this is one of my favorite plugins right now in the full scale of the mix without Diablo. You can hear a lot more elements from the sound design. It lost a lot of sound pressure as well. Now let's throw Diablo back on here. It sounds as it should. Everything is nice and flat and balanced. Really, really nice. Now, moving into how the sound was made, this is actually just outfitted from Fragment Audio. It's one of their kick drums. Presets, and I kind of just outfitted it to do a different sort of job and sustain and changed up a lot of the timbres and characteristics of the sound. So yeah, but that's how it is. You can kind of reverse engineer that and play around with whatever. But I don't even know what's going on here. I don't know why it doesn't show the wavetables, whatever. Not my problem. It works for me. Moving into the next section here, we've got the sound design. And the cool part about this is I'm trying to fit in sounds and all this empty spaces and openings that the drums and other elements in the song provide. So if you'll notice, this like everything is playing off of each other and getting into the spaces where the other sound isn't, right? So it's like, so you've got bump, 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 bump. So it's like, pop screeches are everything in this song. So like always, it's the same setup from the first drop. We've got the 3 screeches and playing the pop screeches. And then you have your additional screech, which is playing the bum, bum, bum. Playing with octaves up, when you're playing with your root note that you determine on the, with your root note that you determine for the screech, it's very important to play with your octave. Okay, what does it sound like an octave above? What does it sound like an octave below? And now you've got these 3 different variables that you can play with. And as you can see, I'm variating here. It's not a word, but I'm using a variation of my root octave with my lower octave. So it's like, and then I'm going down. So it keeps your ear hearing new elements in the mix because this can get stale really, really fast. And I don't want that. So that's the screech section right there. Now you've got your basic Serum sustain stuff. And this is being, a lot, same thing set up as the first drop. I've taken out a lot of crazy harsh frequencies that I didn't want in there. And then the setup of the sound is just, it's literally a variation of the first sustain from the first drop, just with a little bit different characteristics. And I changed the LFO 2. It's a lot sharper now, right? Now, the LFO 1 here is a lot sharper, as you can see. which is why it sounds a little bit more robotic and very punctual in the way of the LFO at a eighth note pattern this time. The next sound here, we've got this. I gotta save these. These are nice. Once again, variation of that same sound. A variation of that same sound. Eighth notes, just different FM from B, different comb. It's just you're just changing these different elements, and that can be another video. Just when you change small elements in the setup of these sounds, it changes so much, and you can have like 16 variations of the same sound that sound completely different. So it's very, very cool. Another little sustain here in the context of everything. Really, really kind of honed in on the use of the hardstyle kick, right? The rhythm is just the rhythm just brings this thing to life. So yeah, but then it just goes back into the second half from the first drop. You guys already know that. So yeah, I hope you learned something about how I'm sort of arranging and sound designing these songs. And if you have any questions about this, be sure to drop a comment. We can talk about it. But yeah, as always, if you want to see more in-depth breakdowns of this song and many more, as well as other sections of this song, you can do so at patreon.com/heartacademy. Until then, enjoy. Boom.